All right, so here in Ephesians, we're getting ready to go over Ephesians. We're going to go over we wrestle against, not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, and the darkness. We're going to go over that. We're going to go over how everything was created and finished in 6 days. That includes all the hosts of the world and of heaven. Um, we're going to go over um, on the seventh day. Um, God rested. Elohim rested. The judges, the correct judges, righteous judgment. Those who had righteous judgment rested. Um, and how those who don't have righteous judgment um, are at an unrest forever and ever and ever. So we're going to go over that real quick here. It says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." Okay. So we're wrestling against spiritual wickedness in high places. So this is an interpretation of thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the hosts of them. See, this is all the hosts of heaven and all the hosts of earth were all finished on the sixth day. And as we go here, we jump into the creation of the world and of heaven. We see that man was created in the likeness of Elohim, of those who um, created heaven and earth, right? So we go down here. So God created man in his own image, in the image of God, right? Elohim. So if we click here, and we can see in his own image, it is it's an illusion, a representative figure. See, what we are here on earth in time is a representative figure of the all of what had done everything. Because obviously this is plural, but everybody knows that there is one source in which everything has to come from, um, right? Because there's one singular point in which the law of cause and effect must go forth, and that is God. So what we are here is says we are judges. It says we are gods. It says we are angels. It says we are magistrates. It says we are mighty. And also God is exceeding. So what we have here in this image, a resemblance, a representative figure of everything that had already taken place here in the first 6 days. And then what we have here is we ended our work, right? We ended our work. But some weren't happy with the way that creation went. Some during the first 6 days, some were not okay with how things had went, because we have established in Revelation 14 that there is a spot um, where we, um, as a whole, some of us did not rest. So we as a whole are in the system of rest and unrest. That's what we're here in this host body to identify with, because obviously part of us is at a state of unrest, which is the part that's um, being righteously judged into um, death. That's what's going on. That's what death is. And then when we have taken off that clothing or that garment of the thing that can't rest, because we're in a system where we age, we're in time, we're with things like rust and old age and, just decomposition in general. It's just, it's going back to the place in which, where it can't be like, hey, I don't like how all this happened or how all this is going. You know what I'm saying? And then once all that has finished, once we have died, because that is our perception. Once our perception of this is gone and it is cast off, then we will have a permanent rest. See, um, that's what happened. See, we are just representing what has happened. See, we are just representing what has happened, and we are a part of this system. Okay? And it doesn't have anything to do with making a choice or a decision, because we're just the representative figure of that. See, that's where our choice comes from, because there was a disagreement in heaven, obviously, because Satan developed, Satan and his angels developed. There was a disagreement with how things were going. And then there was the commandment as well, which went forth, as well as the disagreement with the commandment. See, this is how our decision making and our choices come into play. Um, Regardless of that, everything goes the way that it needed to go. Okay, that's why we have death. That's why the death is a thing. It's because, as I explained, we're casting we're casting it off to the disagreement with how things are is it's not something that we're gonna need. Um, that's why we are how we are. That's why we are how we are. That's why we make choices. Because sometimes, like people will be like, you could have done better, or what is the best choice of what is the best choice? You know what I'm saying? But the thing is you're gonna be moved because of your desires, and that's just how it is. You know what I'm saying? If you want something more than the other thing, you're typically gonna go for. I mean, you're gonna go for what you want, and that is the truth. Or you're going to be forced to do something that you don't want to do. See, there is no choice in the matter. How you were created to be, your desires, or you being forced to, is gonna make the outcome the way that it needed to be. Okay, it has nothing to do with you being glorified in any way whatsoever. It's the whole thing, and that's what this earth is representing. That's what heaven is representing. Everything is already completed. Okay, so we have here that the earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep, right? So it was without form. It was in vanity, right? It was a waste. It was a worthless thing, the earth, right? So what we're doing is we're just casting off um, what wasn't okay with what was being made in the creation of heaven and earth, um, back to the one who created everything, and therefore righteous judgment is reigning supreme, right? That's the whole reason why death is. And what we got here is, and he rested, and we rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made, right? So that means we rest in Jesus, right here. So again, we'll go back here to Ephesians. Ephesians 6. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, and against the rulers of darkness of this world. The rulers of darkness of this world. Obscurity. Okay. Against spiritual wickedness in high places. In heaven. Celestial. Okay. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the hosts of them. And on the seventh day God ended his work which he had made. See, if you're not at rest, then you need to continue to work in a system that has already been made to show you that everything is done for you. And when you come to that realization that there's a Savior who came to explain all of this to us, then you now have your Savior. And it is God's only begotten Son, so that he can share with you the message of eternal rest, eternal salvation, eternal peace and joy. Um, and see, those who don't rest have an everlasting torment. And a smoke from their torment ascendeth up for ever and ever, and they have no rest, day or night. Who worshipped the way creation was going, who worshipped not being okay with the way creation was going. And the beast would be us thinking that we have the choice to do, to not be okay and be able to live. You just be brought back into the system and killed again and again and again and again and again until you come to the realization that everything is already taken care of. everything is already okay. Because everything needs to be the way that it is for you to do what you're doing, you know? And that goes with what you like or what you don't like. It still needs to be that way for you to do what you're doing right now, for you to exist. And that's where righteous judgment comes into play. Um, this is where you could get the idea that God is knocking on your door and saying, "Will you let me come in and um, eat with you, have dinner, have drink with you? Will you let me be your friend?" You know, and every time you turn that away and say, "I can do this myself," um, you're wrong, and you're going to continue to go through depression. You're going to get happy about things. So, since you're going to get happy, there has to be the opposite of that, which is sadness. You're going to get sad and you're going to get happy. But when you bring the whole of it together, who is God, then you know and you dwell in both happiness and sadness. And then you can no longer be deceived by happiness and sadness. Therefore, the peace that is in you now, knowing that everything is already taken care of and that you are saved from death, um, your happiness and your sadness is just a glorification to the knowledge that you have received of your salvation from the fear of everything, basically death, which is the only thing really to fear because, sickness and poverty and everything is that's all just like a state of death. Um, because the Christian is always blessed, always satisfied because they're at work, they're at peace and salvation that has already taken place, and they're no longer at work in a system that is not okay with itself. You understand? Because there's a war going on between right and wrong. And when you have brought them both together, um, then you know the very beginning point in which all this had happened, and you can go back there. It is the way, the truth, and the life. Okay?